Welcome back, boils and ghouls. Today's Tales from the Crypt is a real kitten calamity. Airing June 28th, 1999, collection completed is a darkly comedic episode about a cranky retiree and a wife with more pets than the local shelter. It was directed by Mary Lambert, who had just finished terrifying audiences with Pet Sematary, and apparently decided she wasn't done wrangling cats, dogs, or deeply upsetting family dynamics. Lambert brought her horror sensibilities and her music video flair to this one, giving the whole episode a weirdly cheerful sitcom shine, well, right up until it doesn't. The script came courtesy of A. Whitney Brown, who is probably best known for writing on SNL, along with Battle Davis and Randolph Davis, a writing trio whose background lands more in the comedic realm, which is why this episode ends up feeling more like an episode of I Love Lucy and less Tales from the Crypt. The episode begins on a dark and stormy night, because how else do you start a horror anthology? I don't know much about fish, but I feel like this tank is way too small. Anita is putting together a surprise retirement party for her husband, but in the meantime, might as well pick up a few more strays. I'm sure he won't mind.
You shut the door right on my face.
As if you couldn't tell, Jonas is a very upbeat sort of fella. He just loves his wife and loves animals even more. See? He's falling over cats, just beaming with excitement. He starts bitching and whining about being forced into retirement at 65, but the part that feels unrealistic to me is that he was able to stay at the same job for 47 years without being laid off for cheaper labor.
He's my new friend.
You can get rid of him now. Because as of tomorrow, you won't be lonely anymore.
I'm gonna take a swing and guess that these two don't have children. Not that children would fix things between them. A clearly miserable old man and a crazy cat lady. Though it is rare that the cat lady is married. Jonas leaves his own party in a huff, but how could he? I'll take a party with just dogs and cats any day of the week. Well, mostly the dogs. The cats I can take or leave. Jonas wakes up the next morning thinking he's late for work, which is funny because even though I've been out of school for 20 years, I still wake up in a panic thinking that I missed the bus.
God damn it all, you have to make me say it, don't you? All right, I have to sit down. All right?
Tales from the Crypt is definitely known for being darkly comedic, but now we have poop jokes? Anywho, after taking care of business, Anita cooks up a tasty breakfast. For the animals anyways. Jonas, on the other hand, gets a nice bowl of oat bran, which will definitely lead to him needing that bathroom again.
Are you running some kind of luxury resort for every flea-bitten parasite that trips across my doorstep?
Somehow Jonas has missed his wife collecting animals for the past 47 years, and as she puts it, they're all I've got. Part of me wants to say that she could have made some friends in the past 47 years, but then I remember how much people suck and I start to understand her. Jonas is then visited by their neighbor Roy, who thinks Jonas may enjoy a nice model kit. I've tried building model kits in the past, but it generally turns into an unmitigated disaster.
Well, look who's back.
Hey, beat it, you mangy mutt!
With the way Jonas treats these dogs, I would sure hate if something truly awful were to happen to him. Apparently, Jonas seems to be the only one that didn't notice his wife was an animal nut. Roy brings up a story about Anita sitting on the grass with a squirrel perched on her head, which might sound crazy, but then I think back to all the times I've tried to make squirrel friends by bribing them with peanuts. So basically, Anita is the Disney princess of Tales from the Crypt, and Jonas somehow didn't notice the past 47 years. After his, pruning, Jonas sits down to a nice tuna sandwich, which of course is cat food. How again has he not noticed his wife is insane?
Where have you been? Come here, boy.
Jonas? You named this dog Jonas?
How can you be upset that this little doggo is named after you? I mean, just look at him. Look at him. Anyways, Anita gives Jonas some aspirin and a brownie, just like you would when trying to give a dog a pill. Although you wouldn't give a dog a brownie because, you know, chocolate. In the meantime, his neighbor stops by to give him another model that he isn't about to start building. Jonas tells Roy all about the issues he's been having with Anita, and Roy tells him that maybe they should sit down and have a talk. But when Jonas tries to, she's already having a heartfelt conversation with the cat. Well, at least he seems to be taking it well.
You miserable!
Here, kitty, kitty.
Alright, I'm not the biggest cat fan, but I'm not about to prune its head off. Jonas takes a comedic little stumble into the pond and decides to wash off. Except, Anita is giving the fish a bath? Also, how dirty is their pond that he comes out covered in gunk? The next day, Jonas is suddenly in a very chipper mood.
Oh, Skippy's bone. Skippy didn't mean
Come
it.
along, little fella.
Seems like he finally found himself a hobby. Hey, maybe he started digging into those models. A few weeks goes by and Anita comes downstairs looking for Jonas, the dog Jonas, to which human Jonas says he just saw him outside.
Mommy's been worried about you.
Well, I think Anita just discovered Jonas's new hobby, taxidermy. Taxidermy already is kind of weird when it's your own pets, but the comical light-up eyes kind of bring it all together. Now, Anita is obviously not happy, but hey, Jonas is just trying to share in her interests, which I think is commendable. Is that the one that was sitting on her head? Jonas has quite the collection, a kind of disturbing collection. The only thing Jonas hasn't killed is Anita's prized kitty Mew Mew. You know, the one she found out in the rain?
Going to kill that cat.
Nina, no!
So she really is a crazy cat lady. Sometime later, Anita and Jonas are enjoying some TV, and it's nice to see them kiss and make up.
He's much happier.
Collection Completed is based on the story of the same name, found in Vault of Horror number 25. Published July 1952, the story was written by Al Feldstein with artwork by Ghastly Graham Ingalls. The cover art by Johnny Craig features a spooky seance, a disembodied floating head, while those attending the seance look on in horror. And can you believe that it's based on the very first story in the book, also called The Seance? Well, that's quite the coincidence. Anita and Jonah had been married for 16 years, and reaching middle age and with no children, Anita started taking in any old critter off the street. Now, Jonah wasn't exactly fond of animals, but he seemed to be even less fond of his wife. I mean, I don't think there's a single panel where he isn't yelling. Anita tells Jonah maybe he should get a hobby, so he decides he'll get a hobby alright. Anita starts giving Jonah crap for buying so much stuff for his new hobby, but she spends all the money on animals, so who is she to complain? The two continue arguing over who buys more crap when Jonah reveals his new hobby, taxidermy. Anita is pretty horrified at the idea, but Jonah has made up his mind, and for his first piece, he's gonna get that damn mouse that's been living in the walls. Look, if he's just going after rodents living in the walls, I don't see what the fuss is all about. They're all just disgusting vermin. Jonah starts reading up on how to taxidermy, which seems to upset Anita even more. I guess she can't handle the process of turning the skin inside out and peeling it back. Jonah catches his little mouse, and Anita is horrified. She loves animals so much that she just can't bear to see Jonah harm them. Well, unfortunately, she does, because he really makes it a point to show her the mouse skin that has to dry and the skeleton he wired up. It's like this guy takes pleasure in traumatizing his wife. When she finally sees the completed mouse, she loses her mind. But don't worry, poor lady, because it doesn't stop there. Next up is a blue jay, then a squirrel. Basically anything Jonah can get his hands on. I mean, just look at his face when he brings home a pigeon. I don't think I've seen anyone so happy to see their wife upset. Things only escalate when Jonah brings home a dog. And I don't care that it's a stray dog, I think he's finally gone too far. Soon, Anita notices that her kitty Mew Mew is missing. But there's no way Jonah could have done it to him too, right? Not Mew Mew. Anita heads down into Jonah's basement of stuffed critters and can barely even look at Jonah's nightmarish collection. She's about to have a much worse day, however, when Jonah shows her the final piece that caps off his collection, Mew Mew. Jonah finds it pretty hilarious that he just butchered and stuffed his wife's cat, but I don't think she finds it nearly as funny. Sometime later, a neighbor stops by and finds them both in the basement. Anita rambling on like a lunatic, and Jonah crudely stuffed, just like all the animals he worked on. Although, did she even read the taxidermy book because the stitching is all wrong? Collection Completed is an interesting way to cap off season 1 of your new show. It feels more like a 1950s sitcom gone off the rails than something you'd expect from Tales from the Crypt. It isn't necessarily a bad thing, it just leans way harder into dark comedy than horror. A lot of that has to do with the writing team, who came from a comedy background rather than a horror background, and that influence is all over the episode's pacing, dialogue, and tone. Now, Tales from the Crypt has always had one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. But this episode might have thrown some viewers for a loop. It's not particularly scary, it's not especially gory, and as the finale to the show's first and shortest season, it's kind of a strange note to end on. And considering season 2 wouldn't premiere for almost a full year, it's kind of a miracle they didn't lose their momentum. But when the show came back, people were still there, still hungry for more gallows humor and gory twists. So maybe this offbeat little closer did its job after all. It's also oddly fitting that Mary Lambert directed this one, having just finished Pet Sematary, a movie that, like this episode, is preoccupied with animals, death, and dysfunctional family drama. She brought along Peter Stein, her Pet Sematary cinematographer, and Tom Finnan, who'd later edit Pet Sematary 2 for her. So while the episode plays like a light sitcom, it still has some solid horror talent behind the scenes. The casting helps carry that tone too. You've got Emmett Walsh and Audra Lindley, both seasoned actors with a natural chemistry that lands somewhere between sitcom bickering and low-level marital warfare. Walsh plays Jonas, the usual grumpy old man, but he's not portrayed as outright hateful. And Lindley, forever tied to her role as Helen Roper, gives Anita this sweet but baddie energy that keeps her sympathetic, even when she's talking to dogs like they're her kids. That's also a major shift from the comic where the husband named Jonah feels genuinely cruel. He's bitter, vindictive, and seems to flat out despise his wife. There's no charm, no humor, just cold domestic contempt leading to a gruesome finale. In contrast, the show plays their dynamic like an Archie and Edith Bunker situation. Frustrated, passive-aggressive, but still oddly affectionate in a twisted, long-married couple kind of way. That shift from malice to mildly cartoonish dysfunction makes the ending feel less like grim punishment and more like a really dark punchline. So no, Collection Completed doesn't close this season with a scream, it ends with a smirk, and maybe that's why it's so remembered. Not because it was the scariest episode, but because it was weirdly human in a morbid sort of way. When doing a little digging, I did find a funny review on IMDb from someone who took the story a little too seriously. According to user Dodge Zombie, they found the episode to be sick, saying, "As an animal lover, I found this episode disgusting. It wasn't funny, it wasn't amusing, it was disgusting how they allowed this to be made. This episode made me angry." I love animals too, but you realize it's fake, right? Emmett Walsh didn't actually taxidermy those animals. Anyways, it's a fine episode, but maybe not one I would have saved for the finale. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you're having a great day and stay spooky.
Back again for another tiptoe through the tombstones? Well, have I got a crypt hanger for you?
Finally occurred to me. The perfect hobby. You love animals. Now I can learn to love them too. Here, kitty, kitty.
What have you done to my babies?
What do you think?
Tales from the Crypt.
Warning, strong content. Parental discretion advised.
Huge thanks to all my channel members. You're the real MVPs of the Spooky Squad. Your support helps keep the lights flickering and the monsters fed. If you'd like to join up and help support the channel, check out the join button below. But no pressure, just watching and liking helps a ton too.